Welcome back to Ohio Weddings. Today I'm joined by Mary and Terry Atkins from Willow Wind Carriage Service. Now, tell me, how did you get involved with horses and weddings? How did that all come about?
I wanted horses from the time I was old enough to know what a horse was. So when I became an adult, had my job as a nurse, bought my first horse. Within a couple of years, I had a boarding, breeding, training stable. When Terry and I met and got involved, my sister decided she didn't want to be involved in the business any longer, so we took over the business. And a few years into that, he knew I wanted a carriage. I kept getting phone calls. Do you have a carriage that I could rent for my wedding? So we bought our first carriage. Wasn't very long after that, we ended up with 3 carriages, and now we're up to 9 carriages.
Wow, 9 carriages. Mm-hmm. Now, don't you also have limos and other types of transportation?
Yes, we have 3 limousines, a van, a sedan, and 5 buses. So we can do hotel transportation, airport shuttles, the bride and groom, the whole wedding party, whatever the bride needs, we can take care of the transportation.
Now, as far as what areas of Ohio do you cover?
Generally, we cover an area about a 100-mile radius of Springfield. We also have a horse-drawn hearse. We do funerals with that, and so we'll go a little farther with that. Some of the specialty weddings, like the Indian weddings that we do, will go a little farther than the 100 miles, but try to stay within that 100-mile radius.
Wow, you just go everywhere. So, I mean, you probably do Dayton, Columbus.
Northern
what are some
Cincinnati.
of the other cities that you think you cover?
Do Westchester, do some of the areas of Cincinnati. Actually had a phone call yesterday about a wedding in Covington, Kentucky that we're discussing. So
you go just about anywhere. Now, as far as there's a term, I guess, vis-a-vis?
Vis-a-vis, that's the type of carriage. It actually describes the style of carriage. Vis-a-vis means face-to-face. So the 2 seats in the back that the passengers sit in actually face each other that way. And then the driver's seat is a 3rd seat that's up higher. And that's a general traditional style for weddings in the area. We actually have 3 of those type of carriages, so we have different color schemes with them. So the bride can choose which one she wants for her wedding.
Now, I think with a previous conversation that we had, you're getting a new Cinderella Carriage?
Yes, we are. It's a wrought iron pumpkin globe type carriage. And we should have that in about 3 weeks. So we'll get it ready to go and have it available for weddings and, of course, the princess parties and birthday parties for the young ladies and whatever anyone wants to use it for.
Yeah, well, they can be Cinderella for the day.
Absolutely.
Now, what is a barat? Can you tell me what that is?
Sure. The barat is the traditional ceremony that begins the Indian wedding ceremony, and it's actually supposed to signify the groom leaving his home and going to the bride's home. In India, they still do that. The groom will take his whole family and his friends and go to the bride's house because that's traditionally where they have the wedding. So the barat is reenacting that whole ceremony and that whole procession. So we start at one end of either the parking lot or on the street and bring them to the door. And they sing and dance, and the groom rides a very decorated horse. And that's why they consider him the king for the day. So that's bringing him on the horse with all the decorations and the festivities that go with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you do a lot of Asian weddings. Can you kind of tell us, that the people that don't understand maybe the Asian weddings, what a typical event is like?
Sure. Actually, it's usually a 3-day event. They'll have a party the night before for the bride's side of the family, the more intimate family. And then the day of the actual wedding, they have the barat in the morning. Usually they'll have a breakfast before that. Then they have food with the whole ceremony. It may take 2 to 3 hours for them to complete the actual Hindu ceremony. And then they have a big reception in the evening. And it's not uncommon for them to have 300 to 600 guests at their wedding. It's a huge, huge party. You know, it's a real celebration of them coming together. And typically they have what they call the mandap, which is the altar where they have their ceremony. And it's got 6 pillars of some sort, either round or square, or they'll have 6 drapes of fabric. And that's to signify the bride and groom, the groom's mother and father, and the bride's mother and father all coming together and it's always connected somehow at the top. And it sort of brings the two families together, not just the bride and groom.
Yeah, the weddings tend to be really elaborate.
Very much so. Yes, it's like I said, it's an all-day event on the day of the wedding, and then usually there's a celebration on the day after as well for the groom's side of the family.
Mm-hmm. Now, can you tell us a little bit as far as the types of packages that you offer for transportation?
We customize everything that we do. We don't have anything, as we tell people, we don't have any cookie cutter packages. It's whatever you want. So we can combine a carriage with a limo or a bus or whatever you need for your transportation. But when we do the carriages, we always include custom decorations on the carriages in the bride's wedding colors. And she gets to choose whether she would like a gray horse or a black horse. And everyone says, I want a white horse. Well, the only true white horse is an albino. So they are gray, but they look white. And so she has her choice of which carriage or horse she'd like with the carriage. And we always put the Just Married sign on the back as well.
Well, I mean, with any color scheme, then you could coordinate carriages with just about any color.
Absolutely. And, you know, the colors that we have in the carriages, the upholstery sort of blends with anything. So I put custom decorations on the outsides of the carriage with flowers and tulle, and it just pulls the whole wedding theme together for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, for a bride, you know, looking to hire transportation services, sure, what types of questions should she be asking?
I'll let Terry handle that one.
Okay, Terry.
Well, first of all, you need to know what area you're going to be working, how many passengers that you're going to need to be moving, and some of the things depending on the size of the vehicles. There are different restrictions as far as commercial driver's license, insurance. It's a real big question. We're currently in the state of Ohio, any limousine that carries 9 or is built to carry 9 passengers or less requires a livery license plate on the vehicle. Anything over 9 passengers requires a bus license plate. They're more expensive, and anything over 16 requires additional insurance, from a $1.5 million for the liability for the smaller vehicles to a $5 million. So there's a lot of people out there that aren't meeting the requirements, trying to skirt under. So you have to be very careful, because the last thing you want is to be on your wedding day and have something happen and no insurance.
So try to ask them if they're certified,
Exactly.
ask the proper questions.
And they can provide, we do a lot of work for cities and villages, and they always make us, produce the documents of insurance. So, and anyone can do that, and there shouldn't be any question, just immediately be able to produce that for them.
So where could we find more information about your company?
We have a website. It's www.willowwindcarriagelimo.com. Mm-hmm. We have pictures of all of our vehicles and descriptions of what we offer and how we offer the service. None of our pricing is on the website, simply because we have so many variables with the cities we cover and packages. But all you have to do is fill out an email request from the website, and we'll be glad to send a quote back or give you a call and talk to you about customizing your package for you.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show today.
It was our pleasure. Welcome.